Oh, flip. I forgot to switch it. What the flip was that? Oh, I'm tripping. What the flip? That's on 80. One, two, three, test. 1, 2, 3, test. Flip, that's a little better, I guess. Shot play. Play some Battlefield. You watching? Oh, I should even hear me. Battlefield's not working. Actually, I should be doing my homework. It won't take that long.
General quarters. Awaiting instructions. What? Affirmative. Enemy force sighted on the horizon. On Neptune's beard. Spotter airborne.
I got range up to 20 kilometers since when? No way I hit that, right? Not only did I hit it, but I made him on fire.
Enemy cruiser detected.
Oh, he mad, dude. It hurt, I won't lie.
Get back. Enemy cruiser detected. Enemy
Come here, little cruiser. Open wide. Flip. I got 2 shots off on over there. But I hit. Let's go. Turn, 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 turn. Broadside, broadside, broadside. Let's go. I'm gonna retreat. I did my damage from the flipping cruiser over there, so we're somewhat even. Battleship's not my main concern. It's gonna move.
All stations, concentrate fire on the target. Problem solved, sir.
Little punk. Can I hit him one more time? Hold up. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Can I hit him one more time, please? I probably should have aimed a little higher. I mean, a little more to the left. Yeah, damn, bro.
The ship is on fire.
That's cool. It's just a fire.
Problem
16.
solved, sir.
About. Probably should aim it a little further actually. So like right about here. Ding ding. Flip, bro.
Enemy submarine in sight. Enemy cruiser sighted. Enemy destroyer detected. Enemy cruiser sighted.
This could be bad. This could be good. I don't know.
Enemy destroyer detected. Enemy battleship.
Ah, that don't hit right. Oh yeah. Oh, flip me. Got a couple hits.
Torpedoes to starboard. Torpedoes to starboard. Spotter airborne. Well done, Commander.
Not yet. Not yet. You know what? We're not so good.
Affirmative. Nice work. Spotter returning to ship. Enemy cruiser sighted.
No way, right? This doesn't detect me yet, right? Oh, it's over, bro. You fucked up. Fucked up, bro. Say you and me right here, bro. You and me, bro. Come on, bro. Oh, fucked up. I just realized my guns aren't fucking. Was I fighting the whole time? No.
stations. Protect that target.
Why protect that? You know, it's asking us to protect them. So the ships are here. Well, it's not enough firepower. We have literally the same power fire, same power file, and you know what I mean. We have the same strength. The difference is we have extra sub. We have a sub. Yeah.
Attention. Reporting the target position.
I gotta tank it.
We're hold below the waterline. We're flooding quickly. Our victory is in sight.
I hate this game.
Problem solved, sir. Well done, Commander. Spotter airborne. The ship is on fire.
I'm confused. I swear his bullets kind of curved towards me.
Extraction stations. Let's give them a hard time. What? Much obliged. Dash it all. Awaiting instructions. All stations, proceed to capture that area.
My love, got some more juice. Please. Oh, you're so sweet.
Negative. Stone the crows. Get back! Get back! What? Enemy force sighted on the horizon. Enemy cruiser sighted.
Come on, little cruiser, keep on moving. And it's a hit.
Enemy battleship detected.
Oh my god, thank you. Bad idea.
Torpedoes to starboard. Torpedoes direct front. Enemy destroyer sighted. Torpedoes direct front.
We lost both of our ships in there. That's pretty flippin' sad.
Enemy battleship detected. Enemy cruiser detected. Retreat now. You destroyed an enemy cruiser. Spotter airborne. Torpedoes to starboard. Torpedoes astern. All stations retreat. Torpedoes astern. Retreat now. Enemy destroyer detected. I need intelligence data. The enemy team has taken the lead. the enemy warship. Reporting the position of a strategic target. Spotter returning to ship. Enemy cruiser detected. Iowa one. All forces, capture that area. Enemy destroyer sighted. We're hull below the waterline. We're flooding quickly. Penetrated. Enemy heavily damaged.
Bro. Alright. This game's not my game. See. So you play some Apex, I guess. Oh, that's some good juice. Smacks. It's just flipper smacks. This guy's wild. What the flip, Chole? We did the same amount of damage. I don't know how we. How did he do damage to me? Oh, I lost.
Real men use iron sights? I use heavy artillery.
It's showtime.
So what if my head's in the clouds? How else could I see everything? This is your champion.
My legs are ready to go. Partes no están incluidos. I'm the jump master. Try to keep up. We should land there. Looks like fun. Non terre plus ultra!
Safety's off. Enemy landed on me.
It's go time!
Found extra supplies. Armor.
Lockdown shield here. Level 1. Charging up my shields.
We're right down range.
First world food, compadres.
Take fire. Crack an enemy shield.
Shake a leg. We've only got a minute in the rings. Charging shields. Come on, come on.
Watch out. Angler's getting revived. Under fire.
Rápido, rápido.
Healing grenade.
This game is so crazy. This game is so crazy. It's not worth playing. Flip, I don't know what to play. We'll watch some YouTube.
Navy operated were the John F. Kennedy, retired 2007, Kitty Hawk, decommissioned 2009, Constellation, decommissioned 2003, and America, expended as target 2005. All had worked hard over their careers and were retired because they were beyond further economic use, making them unattractive for the Royal Navy, who needed ships with a 50-year service life. Even though we say that the U.S. Navy's conventional carriers haven't retired yet, that's impossible because of national security and maybe technological superiority. Aircraft carriers are considered strategic assets and play a vital role in a nation's defense capabilities. The U.S. Navy may prioritize retaining its conventional carrier fleet to maintain its own national security interests and maintain a robust force projection capability. So the short answer is, the U.S. doesn't have any conventional aircraft carriers to sell. The last conventional
So now I'm gonna blow it up with a nuclear bomb. Okay, not actually, that would be too expensive, but I am gonna use visual effects to show you what that would look like. You are very familiar with nuclear weapons. I mean, they're depicted in movies all the time. However, they never do a good job of showing what actually happens during a nuclear explosion. I mean, this movie would have you believe that you could survive a nuke just by getting in your fridge.
That's not how the Force works.
Even when we look at real test footage, it's still difficult to truly understand the power that's on display. They're always in these desolate, remote locations with nothing nearby to visually compare their size to. At least this test in the ocean had battleships for scale. On their own, it's just really hard to grasp the true magnitude of these explosions. Take a look at this shot. If you saw the movie Oppenheimer, then you're already familiar with the first test of a nuclear bomb, Trinity. Sure, it seems powerful, but it's not until I put the 900-foot-tall Eiffel Tower next to it that you can begin to grasp its true scale. Now, imagine instead of blowing up this bomb in the desert, it actually blew up in downtown Los Angeles. Well, you don't have to imagine this.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, trust, we'll come back to this in a moment, so stay tuned. I just wanted to give you some context first, because let's be honest, this is kind of weird. It's hard for me to make a video in my upbeat tone about weapons of mass destruction, so I'm going to focus on the science behind the explosion itself, because that is truly mind-blowing. Explosions are actually pretty simple. They're just huge releases of energy over a short amount of time. Now, the vast majority of explosions are the result of chemical reactions, such as the gunpowder that fires bullets, or military explosives that use TNT.
'Cause I'm TNT, I'm dynamite, TNT, and I win that fight!
Okay, quick clarification about TNT and dynamite, because a lot of people seem to think that they're the same thing, but they're not. Dynamite is solidified nitroglycerin, which is very unstable and dangerous.
This is not the way you transport nitro...
On the other hand, TNT, or trinitrotoluene, is so safe and shock resistant that it took 30 years for people to even figure out that it could explode. People used to use it to, like, dye their clothes yellow. I'm not kidding. These days, however, TNT is one of the most commonly used explosive chemicals in the world, used for everything from geological surveys to hand grenades. Did you know that hand grenades just have TNT inside of them? Because I didn't. I mean, I do now. You do too. Nuclear bombs, however, just hit different. In movies, you can always tell it's a nuke because there's a mushroom cloud. It's a very distinctive shape. However, this shape isn't actually exclusive to nukes. Mushroom clouds occur from any sufficiently large explosion. It's just how thermals work in the air. In fact, the first documented example of a mushroom cloud is from the 1700s. So how do nukes hit different? Instead of a chemical reaction, it is a nuclear reaction. And thanks to this dude who had special relatives, we have the equation E equals mc squared, which basically just means that energy is the same thing as mass. Stuff can be converted into pure energy, and pure energy can be converted back into stuff. So in a nuclear explosion, stuff like uranium ascends beyond its three-dimensional form to become pure energy. And it is a lot of energy. Yeah, so notice that little c squared from the equation? That stands for the speed of light times the speed of light. So energy is actually equal to the mass of something times 90 quadrillion. You don't need a lot of mass to equal a lot of energy. For example, a single drop of water has a mass of 0.05 grams. It's a tiny, minuscule amount of water, but even converting just this much mass into energy would yield an explosion as large as the one we saw in Beirut in 2020. This tragic accident was one of the most powerful non-nuclear blasts in history. It had enough concussive force to shake the entire country of Lebanon, and yet it was still only a 20th the size of the Trinity test. While the Beirut explosion was caused by a warehouse full of ammonium nitrate, Trinity was fueled by a core of plutonium just the size of a bowling ball. Nukes release so much energy that a new unit of measurement had to be formed. 2 months before Oppenheimer detonated the gadget, they blew up 100 tons of TNT, or 0.1 kilotons. This explosion was literally humanity making a big mark in the earth and going, yep, that's my measuring stick now. And this is how physicists were able to figure out that the size of the Trinity explosion was the equivalent of 21,000 tons of TNT, or 21 kilotons. But here's something crazy. In 2021, they actually reanalyzed the data and determined that the actual yield of this explosion was 25 kilotons. So, yeah, as if that distinction even matters when you're blowing up a city. Speaking of which...
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
In the first 1/1,000,000th of a second after nuclear detonation, the heat is already so extreme that a ball of plasma forms. It's a fireball so hot, it reduces everything inside it to subatomic particles. The core of our star is 15 million degrees Celsius, making it the hottest point in the entire solar system. But for a brief moment in time, it becomes the second hottest point because the core of a nuclear fireball can reach 100 million degrees. To put that in perspective, that's 20,000 times hotter than the vaporization point of diamond, one of the most resilient materials in the entire universe. So it doesn't matter if you're in a fridge or a bunker made of diamond, if you're inside of this fireball, you will get deleted from existence. All of this heat radiates outward at the speed of light, instantly scorching anything unfortunate enough to be within view. This real test footage shows the paint getting vaporized at the moment of detonation. It's quite literally a laser engraver, but like everywhere. Anything combustible immediately ignites on fire, including everything within a mile of this explosion. All the people within a mile and a half would receive third-degree burns. It's a burn so bad you don't even feel it. And looking at this test footage, what I find fascinating is that it's not actually windy. What we're seeing is the heat of the nuke pushing the smoke away like it's the solar wind or something. It's just that intense. The real wind and the most devastation is still to come. The shockwave is a sphere of high-pressure air that expands outward faster than the speed of sound. In fact, this shockwave is so powerful, it levels up into something even deadlier. When it hits the ground, it reflects back up to recombine with itself, forming what's called a Mach stem. It gives the shockwave a razor's edge, shaving the city down to rubble. It's been a few seconds at this point, but the explosion is still happening! The shockwave leaves behind a pressure vacuum which sucks all the air back in with hurricane-force winds. It's not as strong as the initial shockwave, but this is more insidious. As the air rushes back into the city, it delivers fresh oxygen to all the fire! The rushing air feeds the flames, which create fire tornadoes that swell to hundreds of feet high. This terrifying reality is called a firestorm, and is exactly what happened to Hiroshima. It was a city made almost entirely of wood. Yeah, that got kind of real. I wanted to show you a hypothetical explosion so that we could separate the physics of nukes from the lives they've taken. But I don't think I can do that. Separating the science from the deaths? It's impossible. Nukes are not fun. They're weapons of war, and the devastation they've caused isn't something we should ever ignore or ever forget. Especially because this one was a small nuke. World War II may have ended, but the Cold War had just begun. It was an arms race between America and Russia to build bigger and bigger bombs, such as the B-83. It's the most powerful nuke in America's arsenal right now, and yet physically, it's not that big. It's 12 feet long. In fact, the warhead itself is just right up here at the front. For something so small, how powerful could it be? 1,200 kilotons. Yeah, this is a megaton bomb. I'm using a tool called Nuke Maps. If you just Google search Nuke Maps, you'll find this. Just plug in the warhead yield of your choice, whether or not it's detonating on the surface or if it's an airburst, and then you just hit detonate. This is the fireball, this is the strongest part of the shockwave, and this signifies where everyone gets third-degree burns. This is what the Trinity explosion would look like in downtown LA, but if I put in the B-83 of 1,200 kilotons, that detonation would look like this. It's like almost 2 miles wide, just the fireball. Now, the B-83 is just the most powerful nuke that we currently have in our arsenal. We've tested many more powerful nukes. For instance, the Russians tested the Tsar Bomba, which was a 50 megaton bomb. And this would literally destroy the entirety of Los Angeles. I just turned on the casualties. Estimated casualties are about 3 million people. Instantly. I think there's a good reason why people don't normally think about this stuff. Going back to the B-83, yes, this is smaller, but we built 650. There are 650 of these things just out there in the world somewhere. That is enough to scorch every single square inch of California. Are you scared yet? I am. We don't need 650 of these bombs. I mean, whether or not we need them at all is a separate conversation, but 650? I think we can all agree that is too many. Mutually assured destruction is still assured destruction, but thankfully there is hope. Both the US and Russia have reduced their nuclear stockpile by 50,000 warheads since the height of the Cold War. Think about that for a moment. Two nations with a history of animosity and distrust were able to set aside their fear of each other and put most of their weapons down. When I see that, I don't see a species trying to destroy themselves. I see a species with a reason to save themselves. And that gives me hope. We need more of that for the safety of us all. But thanks for watching. If you thought the explosions in this video were cool, well, I've got something special for you. I've included a download link to a preset so that you can simulate your own nukes using a real-time sim program called Embergen. It simulates smoke and fire like lightning fast. And lastly, what would happen to the Earth if the Universal logo was real? Well, I made a whole video about it right here, going into detail about exactly what would happen. Spoilers, the world would end.
That was crazy.
Episode 4 of Ahsoka has a lot to unpack, including
spoiler warning.
lightsaber duels.
Give me a heads up. Click away now.
We were treated to a couple of good fights, namely that of Baylan showing his true power in a duel against Ahsoka Tano. We had suspected for a while that Baylan's skull was a true powerhouse, but perhaps we never imagined it was such as this. Wielding his great saber to his advantage, while executing some brutal Form 5 sequences, Baylan kept Ahsoka on the back foot for a good portion of the fight, which is an impressive feat given all we know of Ahsoka herself. By this point in time, Ahsoka has yet to face a real challenge within a duel in her latter years, and hasn't truly had a fair fight since her duel with Darth Vader on Malachor. Inquisitors were barely warm-ups for most of the time, and even in this episode, one of the most skilled Inquisitors of all time in Marok had nowhere left to run when he lost the advantage to Ahsoka, which quickly claimed his life. However, in stark contrast, Baylan would not go down so easily, quite the opposite. So today, my friends, we will open up yet another holocron and analyze the entire duel and discuss the style and sheer power of Baylan's skull, as well as the form that Ahsoka used and why it did not work. Sequence 1 begins with a battle of styles, as Ahsoka and Baylan begin their duel with a tense standoff, where they carefully switch between different stances to throw the other off. Before we get into that though, one thing that we did find interesting was Ahsoka's use of her lightsaber here, that being, she only chooses to use one. In other engagements, Ahsoka has no problem using both her full saber and her Shoto blade. However, this time, the Shoto is all but absent once Ahsoka finishes fighting off the guards. Facing down Marok, Ahsoka dispatches him with only a single blade, despite being fully accustomed to fighting with two. This is the same way in which she chooses to confront Baylan. At first, we speculated that perhaps she had lost her Shoto saber at some point earlier, but now that the episode has released, we can see that she willingly forgoes it. We believe the reason for this is because Ahsoka may have decided to take a different approach to these specific duels. When facing the Inquisitor Marok, an inferior opponent, Ahsoka goes back to using her old Shien-style Form 5 reverse grip, which was used to nice effect in the beginning of the duel. However, during the duel, Ahsoka chooses to switch to a forward grip in order to land the killing strike. This tells us that she treats her forward grip with far more precision than she does her reverse grip, with the reverse grip indicating a defense and forward grip indicating a kill blow. With Baylan though, she knows better, and knows that she must attack him with a forward grip full on due to the former Jedi's experience. When it comes to using only one of her lightsabers however, it seems that she is far more effective when using a single blade against a single opponent. Ironically, the classic single-bladed style actually carries the most versatility with it, which is why it usually is the best all-around option. But going back to the duel itself, the two of them would go through a flurry of stance changes right before they engage in the actual duel. Dave Filoni is known for taking special care to pay attention to lightsaber forms, and this stance switch standoff is an obvious homage to the duel under the twin suns between Kenobi and Maul, showing us the duel of the minds before the actual engagement begins. Each of them are testing the other, unfamiliar with the true power that either one wields. We have taken great care to closely analyze the stances they use to ascertain which forms they are telegraphing, and if we are correct, we believe that Ahsoka first begins with Shi-Cho in the mid-guard position. Form 1. This is characterized by holding one's lightsaber directly out in front of them in a vertical positioning. It is one of the best ways to begin in a duel, as it is a neutral position that can be suddenly changed to suit any reaction the opponent may have. While it may not be indicative of Shi-Cho per se, it was absolutely a smart move to open with, as a well-rounded guard is very important against an opponent one is unfamiliar with. But this is where things get truly interesting. Baylan curiously brings his lightsaber up and parallel to his side, opening the stance of Form 4 Ataru, though he holds it closer to his body than usual perhaps, meaning he is taking more of a defensive approach on the traditionally offensive form, a form that Ahsoka learned and used over the course of the Clone Wars quite effectively. Ahsoka, in response, does a very familiar stance, dropping her lightsaber low and pointed behind her. We haven't really seen this type of stance used before very often, but it's actually a deceptive low guard maneuver, one which is poised to strike. We believe that this is a low guard Jem-So stance, Jem-So being the same form that Anakin used, and the same form that we will learn that Baylan also uses. Finally, Baylan makes his change in kind, moving his lightsaber up and almost slightly over his head, which is close to a classic Jem-So high guard. The two of them have made their decision. We've spent a lot of time talking about these stances because they are very important to how the fight plays out. Subtle changes in one's body position means everything in a duel between two experienced lightsaber combatants, two of the most experienced of the whole era. Because wielders of the Force can see moments into the future during the heat of combat, throwing one's opponent off for even a second can spell the outcome of the entire contest. But soon, the two finally engage. The battle is extremely close, one of the closest that we've seen in quite a long time. Ahsoka tries to test Baylan's fortitude at first with a well-executed series of power strikes, while Baylan not only meets, but is able to overpower each of them. Ahsoka continues to use Jem-So, it seems though, with a sprinkle of her more acrobatic footwork to keep Baylan on his toes. Notable though, that Ahsoka seems to be employing Jem-So, something that is very rare, as she more normally falls back on Shien and Ataru. Ahsoka insists on meeting Baylan head-on despite his superior size, and clearly being physically more strong. We believe though she is attempting to throw him off with an unexpected twist of someone of her stature attempting to meet him in full melee. However, Baylan, showing his true skill, does not flinch, and his guard holds. He is even able to stagger her backward with his own counter-strikes. His style is strong, almost brutish like that of Savage Opress, however, with much tighter blade work and an extra emphasis on defense. One of the main backdraws of Jem-So is how heavily offensive it is, providing very little in the way of defense, unlike its counterpart Shien. Baylan's form appears to be a melding of the two, a marriage between Shien and Jem-So. a hybridized style that makes him fight like an unstoppable force. In our analysis of Marok's lightsaber form, we mentioned how he attempted to use Gemso, but Ahsoka was able to meet his strikes head-on and neutralize the momentum that he tried to gain from them. Here, though, it is quite the opposite and is flipped on its head, and Ahsoka is the one having her momentum neutralized, where Baylan is able to stop her power dead in its tracks. The duel is now in Baylan's favor, as it has become a game of leverage. Each tries different ways to gain power over the other in a duel that is more like a King of the Hill battle than anything else. Ahsoka first tries jumping off of.
Alright, I'm calling it. Y'all have a good one. Kids, love ya. Papa's tired. I got work. Yeah.